Welcome back to our action-packed Tuesday night conversations. The people who are with me every week, y'all know I go live every Tuesday to answer your questions, right? I always say that we come here to ask hard questions, but get honest answers, okay? Hard questions, honest answers. If you've been with me long enough, y'all know our conversations get real quick, real fast, okay? But we're here for truth. We're here to do the work. And so it's like one big old, group therapy session. So welcome, you guys. Thank y'all. Yes, I got my hair cut this past weekend, Saturday. So it's not even a week old yet. So thank you. I love it. I like it. I said it makes me feel more mature. I feel like I look more mature. I went out to eat and they didn't card me, and I was like, oh, is this what we're doing now? So yes. All right. So tonight is our Q&A. Let's see. Announcements. If you are in Houston, August 27th is my birthday. We are also doing our live Q&A in person with me here in Houston, Texas. So if you're in Houston, I want to see you guys in person to actually meet y'all. There's a lot of people who follow me and I never get to meet you guys in person. So if you're in Houston, come to the live Q&A session. Registration link is in my bio. Okay, we do have to have you register. There won't be any tickets at the door because I want it to be a very small, intimate event. So once we reach our capacity, y'all gonna have to catch me at the next one. But make sure that you guys register, get your tickets so that you can meet me in person. I can meet you guys in person. And we're gonna do this in a therapeutic environment. It's gonna be fun. So yes, other than that, the only other announcement, I don't remember what it was. Okay, well, when I remember it, I'll tell y'all. But yes, so tonight is our Q&A. If you have questions, you can put your question down below. Let me put my website. So, that's my other announcement. So the Daily Fix is my morning meetup group. Y'all know by now, if you follow me long enough, the Daily Fix is my tribe who joins me every morning, Monday through Friday at 8:30 Central Standard Time. And we chop it up. Hold on. Why is it not working? I'm trying to pin a comment, y'all. Hold on. Okay, there we go. All right. Everything's on my website, Brittainy.com. The Daily Fix, all right? So if you are in a healing journey, if you're in a journey of growth and personal exploration, the Daily Fix is where you want to be. When you join, you get access to all of our content since the beginning of the year. So we have almost 200 something videos in there, however many days that we have gone through this year. So join the Daily Fix. The link is in my bio as well. All right, so we're going to hop into the first question. First question. If you don't want to leave your question in the comment box below, then you can send it to me anonymously by hitting the little button with the little question mark. You can do that and it'll come to me anonymously if you don't want to leave your question down below. All right, so the first question, is it okay to be involved with an ex-boyfriend in work life? He says it's hard to find a trustworthy business partner and wants to work together. I trust him too, but is it a good idea? The fact that you're asking me means the answer is probably no. Yes. Listen, I'm so mad at you. Listen, okay. So, I'm laughing because when I got my hair cut, everyone was in consensus and said that I look like, what is her name? Toni Braxton. Everyone was calling me Toni this weekend and asking me to sing Unbreak My Heart. Okay, so that's why I'm laughing. So thank you. I think looking like Toni Braxton is a compliment. She's gorgeous. All right. Okay. See, I knew I should have posted a picture first. That way I could have caught everybody before I went live. Okay. But should you go into a work relationship with an ex? Boundaries, right? If this is someone that you can maintain appropriate boundaries with, If this is someone that you can truly say that you are in a place where you no longer have romantic feelings for, or you're no longer considering them as a partner in any way outside of business, then sure, that's something that you could explore. However, most people do not have appropriate boundaries with their ex. Meaning that if we are in close proximity, it's very easy for lines to become blurred. It's very easy for us to slip back into old thought processes, old behaviors, old patterns, old ways of being. It's very easy for old emotions to get rekindled if you're working with an ex. Now, again, there are people who can do it because they truly had closure in those relationships. They truly reached a point where this person, for whatever reason, is not who they want to be with. They have appropriate boundaries. If you can go into that partnership and maintain appropriate boundaries, not only with him, but also with yourself, meaning that you're not allowing yourself to go back into old patterns, old ways of thinking, romanticizing, buying things for their birthday, getting them their favorite food because you know what they eat. All of that will take you back into the pattern of boyfriend, girlfriend. And before you know it, the business is going to come second because our emotions have now become first. So most times it's not something I would recommend unless both of you have a true understanding of appropriate boundaries between friends and business partners, what those look like. If you know what those are and you can maintain those, sure. But be very honest with yourself about whether or not that's something that you can do. Okay, good question. I cannot with y'all. How to set boundaries with family that is okay with the dysfunction between each other, and how do you set the proper boundaries without having bad intentions behind them, such as anger or rage. Any boundaries you set on other people, you first have to set those boundaries with yourself, right? This is how you can set boundaries with family, and it's not about me being angry. It's not about me being resentful. I'm setting a boundary with you because I've already set this boundary with myself. Right? I'm setting a boundary with you to say I'm not going to argue with you because I've set a boundary with myself to say that style of communication is unacceptable for me. I don't care who the person is. I'm setting a boundary with myself to say I don't engage in certain things. I don't care who the person is, right? So now that I have set parameters on myself, when I go into relationships with my family and, we're at the family cookout or it's the family reunion, it's easier for me to identify when things have gone left, right? Or it's ventured further than what it is that I want to go into. During those times, and I have to keep saying this, right? Because people think that setting a boundary means that I'm changing someone's behavior. Many people think that setting a boundary means that I'm changing someone's behavior or that I'm gonna get the outcome that I want. And neither one of those are true. Setting the boundaries simply means that I'm letting another person know what the rules and regulations are in my life. They still have the right to say yes or no. They still have the right to say I'm gonna respect it or I'm not gonna respect it. I cannot with Shamilian. Thank you, Isaac. I knew I should have posted a picture earlier so I didn't just catch y'all off guard, but I'm waiting until next week because I did take professional photos and those will drop next week. So y'all are getting a preview. See, there's perks to going live with me, okay? But yes, so you have to understand that just because I set a boundary, it does not mean that I'm going to get the desired outcome that I want in this relationship with my family, right? So you have to make sure that you're clear with yourself to say, okay, if I'm going into this family cookout, if I'm going into the family reunion, I have already decided within myself, what point, Brittainy, are you going to get up and leave because it became too dysfunctional? What point do you exit stage left because this is no longer what you're a part of, right? The only thing I could say is, hey, y'all, I don't really do all that over there. I'm not going to curse you out. I'm not going to go crazy on you. I'm not going to do these. Those are not me. That's all I can say. I don't participate in those things. If this is what y'all want to do, cool. If y'all want to change directions, I'm down with that. But I'm not going to go low with you. Guess what? They're going to still go low. they're going to still participate in the same cycles that they're used to because they didn't consent to the change that you made. They didn't I cannot. If y'all don't stop. They didn't consent to the change that you made. So that means your own personal boundary has to be, you know what? When this is no longer productive, when this is no longer healthy, I'm going to pick up my purse and I'm going to excuse myself. All right? That's all you can do. Over time, what they learn is, okay, every time, we get loud or we have an argument or we start going off on each other, Brittany gets up and leaves. Brittany doesn't stay around. Brittany is not present. They're going to learn, in order to have access to Brittany's presence, in order for her to come to the family cookout, in order for her to come to the birthday party, we can't be doing all that. They learn based on how you behave. So it's not about taking my boundary and enforcing it on people, because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to understand it. They're not going to respect it. They ain't going to like it. But they will learn based on your behavior. That's the only thing that you control. So I would tell you, sure, have the conversation. Hey, y'all, these are some things that we do. It's not productive. It's not moving us forward. Can we try these things instead? Depending on what their answer is, try it, right? But if all else fails, you have to control what you control. And the only thing you control is your response to their behavior. I can't change their behavior. They're going to be who they are. But I do control what I'm a part of. Does that make sense? That is, good question, Justin. So while I am not a sex therapist, I do have a lot of sex therapist friends. And listen, can we please normalize like doing research on sex? Like I as an adult, there have been a lot of clients I have had who don't even understand their body, let alone their partner's body, right? We have to take the shame away from a very basic human function, which is having sex, okay? And talking about sex with your partner, Justin, who asked me the question, right? Because that exact question, the way that you phrased it to her, to me, is the same exact thing you can go to her, right? And say, hey, babe, I know you're used to these 3 or 4 rounds. I know you're used to going all night long. But men, as you age, first of all, it takes longer for you to climax, or depending on the person, it can take longer or it takes a lot shorter. And then your refractory period, it takes longer for you to recover in order for you to go those 3 or 4 rounds, right? So as you are aging, your body is going to change on you. You have to adapt to your body. And if you are in a healthy long-term relationship, you have to communicate those changes to your partner and say, hey, babe, I know this is what we're used to, but my body's doing some things. What are some other things that we can try? What are some alternative things that we can do? What else do you like that I do that can get you to climax without me having to be a part of it? What can we do, right? Open up those lines of communication, right? You would be shocked. She may say, you know what? I'm good with 2 rounds. We don't need to go 3 or 4. She may say, it's not even a problem for me, right? She may, and I say this because a lot of women do this. She may really be okay with 2 or 3 rounds, but she'll never tell you that. She'll never tell you that because she doesn't want to disappoint you. So she's living up to what you believe or what you guys have set to be the standard. This is why we have to communicate. I don't care how long you guys have been in a relationship, the patterns in sex drives change. Our likes change, our desires change. So we have to be comfortable with having the conversation often. What makes you happy? What do you want to try new? Can we do something different? Whatever it is, right? But we have to take the shame away from the conversation around sex. We have to make that conversation as easy as, what do you want in your coffee this morning? Right? So that we can make sure that we're meeting our partner's needs and we're taking the guesswork out of how do I satisfy them. It's anxiety provoking when I'm trying to figure out how do I satisfy my partner versus sitting down and just having the conversation. And if I'm sharing my body with you, we should be able to have that conversation. Like, come on. Okay? So the same way you asked me that question, I would encourage you to sit down with her and have that question. You may be shocked at the answers that she gives you, right? And not just around 3 or 4 rounds, but hey, Any new things you want to try? Is there anything different you want to do? Open up that conversation, right? And just see where it goes, right? See where it goes and have fun with it. But that's a part of a long-term relationship. It's having those conversations, okay? I cannot. All right, let me scroll back up. If you guys want to send me a question anonymously, the anonymous box is on that right-hand side. Okay. Someone just gave me a recipe, okay? If you want to go more than 2 or 3 rounds, Kanye pepper water in the morning, beet juice, horny goat weed, and I don't know how to pronounce that last one. So yeah, try that. Try any natural herbs, right? But at the end of the day, have the conversation. Is it okay to distance yourself from a family member if they have constantly ignored and overlooked you, but they still want your presence at family events? Why do I have to ask permission to distance myself from someone who makes minimal or no effort at being a healthy source of relationship in my life? Why do I have to ask permission? Whether it's mommy, daddy, sister, brother, cousin, uncle, nene them, whoever it is. You do not have to ask permission to distance yourself from people who show up in your life and offer you the bare minimum. You don't have to ask permission to distance yourself from people who show up in your life and they elicit negative attitudes or negative emotions every time you come into my life. If every time you come into my life you're criticizing me, or you're negative towards me, or you're unsupportive, or you're judgmental, I don't have to ask permission for distance from this individual just because we're related. I don't have to ask permission for distance from this individual just because I've known them my entire life. People are granted access into my life according to how you behave and how you treat me, not according to our bloodline. You do not get automatic access to me because we're related. I don't care what blood we share. I don't care how long I've known you. You get access to me based on how you treat me. So if your treatment of me is subpar, if your treatment of me is negative, if you're neglectful, if you're inconsistent, if you don't add value into my life, then your access is limited. Period. That's not something I have to negotiate. That's not something I have to get clearance on. That's not something I have to have someone approve for me. I get to say that I only want to entertain relationships with people who are actually adding value into my life. Some of you guys, a lot of you guys are new. Y'all don't know my story, right? My OGs who've been with me since 2017, okay? They have heard my story time and time again of me putting distance between myself and my family. One of the I will say probably the most one of the anxiety-provoking conversations I had was with my mom. And for years, through college, I always forced myself to go home for the holidays. I hated it. Couldn't stand it. I hated it. Okay, so the trips got shorter and shorter. At first, I would go for a week, and then I would go for a few days. And then it got to the point I would go for like an overnight trip. And then it got to the point where I was like, I'm going to do a turnaround trip. I'm going to go and come back in the same day. I didn't care how much I slept. I was going and coming back in the same day, period. Right? And eventually I just said, why am I doing this? Why are you doing this? You hate going home. You hate being around your family. You don't enjoy it. Why are you doing this? Because I was expected to. Because that was the norm. Because that's what you do if you're a good daughter. That's what you do if you're a good niece or nephew or whoever. Because these people expected to see me somewhere. I was subjecting myself to be in environments that didn't serve me anymore. That's called self-betrayal. I had to have a very honest conversation with myself to say, Brittany, are you putting yourself in these environments for you, or are you doing it for them? Are you getting anything out of that interaction? Because literally, it got to the point I would go for hours, and I lived an hour and a half away, and I'd be like, all right, y'all, I gotta go. I got work in the morning. I didn't have to go to work in the morning. But I had completely outgrown my family. Completely outgrown them. Didn't mean I didn't love them. It didn't mean I didn't care for them. Didn't mean I didn't want the best for them. But it also meant I would rather be somewhere else. I would rather be in another environment. It took courage, really, for me to finally say, you know what, Brittany, I'm going to go to the places that make me feel joy and happiness. I don't have to be here because this is where I grew up. I don't have to be here because people expect me to be here. I am allowed to go where I feel loved. I'm allowed to go where people are excited to see me. I'm allowed to go where people are checking for me. I'm allowed to go where people miss my presence if I'm not there. I deserve to be there. That's where I'm going to go. Right? So you, and there's no one in your family that gives you that permission. I had to give myself that permission to say, I would rather be around the people that I actually consider family. Right? And that's a gray area, right? Because I do love my family, right? But we, especially at that time when I was a lot younger, I was growing at a very rapid pace. My family, we would get growing further and further apart. And I didn't always know how to communicate, this is not me anymore. Right? Especially when you go into those old environments and they're expecting the old version of you to show up. And so they're like, well, Brittany, why you ain't drinking this? Brittany, why you ain't doing this? Brittany, you used to turn up. Brittany, you... And I'm like, this is not me. Like, I'm not even interested in this. Like, can we have an intellectual conversation? No, we can't, because we don't even... I read books. like we have nothing in common to talk about. So we would talk about, reality TV or, whatever happened, but we could never go into depth about anything because my life had changed so much, right? You have to honor yourself to say, I would rather be in environments that serve me, that feed me, that help me grow, that make me feel joyful, that I can go somewhere and just have fun, laugh, and I'm not somewhere, literally with my family, when we were kids, we would count down. Anytime we had a family get together, my brothers and sisters, we would always count down. And we would be like, all right, I wonder how long it's going to be before so-and-so get in a fight, or they going to start arguing, and then they going to call the police. Like, that's my family get-togethers. Okay? Especially when we were younger. Now it's a little bit better, but it's always chaos. Always. Right? So I would go in and I'd be like, all right, as soon as they start arguing, I'm out. As soon as they start fighting, I'm a dip, right? That was my cue to get up and leave, right? But then I realized, why even subject yourself to it? Why? You could have been at home on your couch enjoying Netflix. Instead, you subjected yourself to this. Why? You have to honor yourself by saying, I would rather be in a place that honors my growth of who I am today. Okay? All right, let's see. Next question. He's not investing in me as I'm investing in him, and I don't want to leave him. What do you think I should do? Let me make sure I read that correctly. You said he's not investing in me as I'm investing in him, and I don't want to leave him. What do you think I should do? All right, y'all. Said I wasn't gonna get worked up tonight. I'm investing into him and he's not investing into me, but I don't want to leave him. Why is the bare minimum acceptable? Why do you not have a desire to be loved on a level that reflects who you are and what your value is and what you can bring into somebody's life? Why is it not a prerequisite for someone to meet you at your level of giving? Why is it that you, and this is just me knowing what I know, the fact that you're willing to continue to give and he hasn't invested, there's a piece of you that thinks that I am proving my worth by giving him more and more and more and more. So if I just keep giving, eventually he's going to see me as something valuable. Eventually he'll see me as someone who's beautiful. Eventually he'll see me as the person he can't live without. So you keep giving, thinking that you can prove your way into his heart. It's the logic is not accurate. Okay, the logic there is not accurate, because you cannot give your way into somebody's heart. You can't prove your way into somebody's heart. People choose to love you, right? And if you're very good at giving, he will fall in love with the benefits of being with you without ever actually having to be with you, right? So this issue has nothing to do with him. It has nothing to do with him, because if it wasn't him, it'll be another guy, right? The issue here is that for whatever reason, somewhere in your history, you learned that it is okay for me to accept little to nothing for what it is that I have to give, right? There's a value issue here. Do you truly believe that I'm worth more? Do I truly believe that I deserve someone who invests into me? Do you truly believe that I'm worth the type of love and care and concern that I give other people? Do you truly believe that? Because if you believed it, you would put a price tag on it. If you believed it, you would put a price tag on it and say, in order to have access to me, right? Going back to the very first question, in order to have access to me, that there are things that are required to get this level of giving from me, to get my heart, to get my love, to get everything that comes with being with me. There's a level of investment that is required. And I always tell people, the way that you know if someone truly has a desire to be with you, to date you, to have a future with you, look at their level of investment. When someone wants to buy a home and they go to this house and they go house shopping, right? And they, tour the house and they walk through the house picking out, how they would decorate it and where they would put little stuff, and they get all worked up about this house and they like the house, right? The first thing that the realtor is going to say, okay, great. Would you like to begin the process of getting the house? The first thing you have to do is put down an earnest check. You have to put down a check to secure the house so that no one else can buy it, to take it off of the market. You have to invest before it's even yours. You have to put down earnest money that shows your level of investment in purchasing this home. I'm not taking it off the market unless you can make an investment. Making the investment, putting the money down is my word of saying, I want this house. This house will be mine, and I'm willing to invest into it to get it off the market so that no one else can have it. If he's not investing into you, he has no plans of purchasing. If he's not investing into you, he has no plans of making this his home. If he's not investing into you, he has no plans of being here long term. He's not giving at the capacity that you're giving because you are not in his future. You're not in his future, and that's okay. That is okay. I promise you it's okay. And when you accept, right, for everyone who's been in my Daily Fix group, the last 2 days we've been talking about the difference between surrender and control. How do I know when I have to surrender to certain things in my life, accept things as they are in my life, and when do I know when I'm in control? This is a situation that you got to surrender. Oh, it don't feel good. Listen, I promise you, I know it does not feel good to surrender. I know it doesn't feel good to look at this and accept the situation and say, you know what? I accept that I like him more than he likes me. I accept that I'm more invested into him than he's invested into me. I accept that he's probably never going to give me what it is I want. I accept that he will probably leave this and go do it for somebody else that he didn't do for me. I accept. I'm going to stop trying to give because, so for my Daily Fix tribe, if my Daily Fix tribe is here, put TDF in the chat. This is what I told them, is that if you don't know when you're when you are in a place where I need to surrender or control, you will find yourself trying to control things that you should be surrendering to. And the way that you're trying to control this is you're saying, well, if I keep giving, then I'll get the outcome I want. If I keep loving him, then I'll get the outcome I want. If I keep showing up, then I'll get the outcome. So you're trying to control, you're trying to manipulate the situation to get a certain outcome. And when you're trying to control something that you should be surrendering to, all you do is end up depleted, exhausted, heartbroken, and resentful. Heartbroken and resentful. Right? When I surrender, I am radically accepting this ain't it. I wanted it to be it. I had the best intentions for it to be it. I sincerely had positive intentions for this interaction, but I'm accepting this ain't it. And that is okay, because accepting that he's not it doesn't mean that I'm not for somebody else. Accepting that he's not it doesn't mean that I won't get the relationship that I want. It doesn't mean that I'm not lovable. It doesn't mean that I can't be in another healthy relationship. You could release him this summer, and by winter, there's another one. Right? But in order to release him, I have to accept it. It was fun. And this is where you don't have the releasing of people doesn't always have to be this angry and bitter release. I release people with love, because the truth is that if you came into my life and we laughed and we had fun and we created memories, I am so grateful that I had those good moments with you. I am so grateful that I had those moments of intimacy with you. I'm so grateful that I had those moments of care and concern with you. I'm grateful for what you came into my life and gave me. Unfortunately, it ain't enough. So I can release you with love and saying, thank you for being the one that taught me that I was giving too much for nothing. Thank you for being the one that taught me that I need to put a price tag on my value. Thank you for being the one that taught me that my love is something that I have to protect and I have to be careful about who I give it out to. Thank you for teaching me that I didn't love myself enough, and that's why we were even in this for that long. Thank you for being the lesson that I had to learn. Thank you for that. I'm not upset with you, because I take full responsibility for my part that I played. I'm not mad at you. You only did what I allowed you to do. Thank you for being my lesson. But listen, I'm a A student. Okay? I said that before. I am not hard-headed. I will learn a lesson quick, okay? It don't take long for me to learn a lesson. Thank you, April. I will learn a lesson quick, fast, and in a hurry, okay? And get the lesson so that I can move on, so that I can move into something that is happier. I can move into something that brings me joy. I can move into something that gives me peace. At the end of the day, if I just get peace, I would rather have that than to be wondering whether or not someone cares about me, waiting on a phone call, waiting on a text message, waiting for someone to prioritize me. No. No. Go to Amazon.com and get my book, Made for This. I actually walk you through coming back from a unhealthy relationship that I was in for 6 years, and I'll actually walk you through the steps of rediscovering yourself after coming out of a tough relationship. Made for This is the name of the book. Okay, let me scroll back up to y'all's questions. If you're just joining, put your questions down below. This is our open Q&A. We do this every Tuesday night. No questions are off limits, okay? You can also send questions to me anonymously in the little box on the right-hand side. So let me scroll back up. Is this helpful for you guys? Okay, follow-up question. What should you do when you harbor guilt because of setting boundaries, either by reminding me that I hurt their feelings or me suffering the consequences because of no boundaries? So guilt is an emotion. Emotions are triggered by thoughts. Guilt is an emotion. Emotions are triggered by thoughts, right? So that means that if I'm feeling guilty about something, then I need to identify what is the thought, what is the thing I'm telling myself that's triggering guilt, right? So for me, it was, well, Brittainy, you're being a bad daughter. Brittainy, you're not being lovable. Brittainy, you're not being nice and kind. Brittainy, you're being bad. You're being rude, right? When I have those thoughts, then of course it's going to trigger shame. It's going to trigger guilt. It's going to trigger resentment, right? And so I had to go and reframe what I was telling myself so that I was clear about why I was setting the boundaries. It's no longer I'm setting the boundary. Setting the boundary makes me bad. Setting the boundary makes me the B. Setting the boundary makes me the mean one, right? It's no. Setting the boundary is preserving myself. Setting the boundary is how I love myself. Setting the boundary is how I protect myself. Setting the boundary is actually how I keep this person in my life. Because without boundaries, at some point, I'm going to cut you off altogether. Right? So you have to reframe the internal language that you're having with yourself. One, so that you're clear with yourself about why you're setting the boundaries and you are more in control of your own emotions. But then also so that you can correct other people. So when other people say, oh, you just think you better than everybody. No, I'm just setting a boundary that keeps me in a healthy mental space. Oh, you done went and got your little degree. Now you think you're better than everybody. Because I've heard all of these, right? You done went and got your little degree. Was that who was that? Was that a meme? Right? But they'll say certain things to you. And if you're not solid within yourself, then those comments will knock you off kilter. Those comments will be distracting for you. Those comments will be harmful for you. This is why everything starts with self. So that when they give you those negative comments, or when they give you the side eye, or when they say, you know, God don't like ugly, or whatever they got to say, you can correct them with what you say is true about your boundary, right? But understand, emotions are emotions. They are valid, but they are not factual. I can feel guilty, especially if you're new at setting boundaries. Expect to feel guilty. You're going to feel guilty. You're going to feel bad. You're going to feel like trash sometimes, right? But you have to tell yourself, I'm setting this because this is what's healthy for me. This is what's good for me. This is what's going to move me further into who I'm trying to become and what I'm trying to have. Change the internal dialogue that you have about why you're setting the boundary. Okay. How to stop getting attached so fast? Very good question. So, if you guys don't know your attachment style, I encourage you to do some research on attachment style so that you understand how you attach to people and understand why you attach to people. Each one of us have what I call attachment buttons, okay? They're like little internal buttons that if somebody is pressing that button for you, okay? If they're pressing that button, it feels like emotions of love. It feels like emotions of care, of concern. And so because this person is pressing that button, I'm more likely to fall in love, okay? And I'm saying fall in quotations. I'll tell you guys why. I'm more likely to fall in love because I feel like this person is hitting those buttons for me. Most times, those internal buttons that people are hitting for you, they're very much linked to what you either did or didn't get as a child. So if I was a child that was ignored when I was a kid, right? Mama was working, bills needed to be paid, everything else was important. They didn't give me a lot of attention. So that means as an adult, I now have this button that says, give me attention, make me feel important, make me feel seen. And so if somebody comes in my life and they're giving me a whole bunch of attention and they're making me feel seen and they're making me feel important and they do that for 3 weeks, I'm in love. Right? Because they're hitting that button. And so you will mistake them hitting that button as this is a love connection, missing that it was just an attachment, right? That I got attached to them because they were very good at hitting this button for me. But it did not mean that this was a genuine love connection. So in order for you to not be attached so quickly, first of all, you need to know, what are my attachment buttons? What are my internal triggers that if somebody hits that trigger a lot, I know it's very likely I'm going to fall head over heels for them, number one. 2, you need to understand, I don't, and this is where I give people a hard time. I know, okay? And this is just for my own personal life. This is not what you have to adopt. I say that all the time. I don't believe in falling in love, all right? Falling in love gives the perception as if I have no control over who I choose to love. It gives the perception as if we are just at love's whim and we have no say in how this goes. That's not true. You are 100% in control of who you choose to love and who you don't choose to love, right? What happens is The minute that you feel those emotions beginning to grow, the minute that you feel yourself getting wrapped up in this person and you're thinking about them first thing in the morning, first thing at night, you want to talk to them, you want to see them, and you're feeling those emotions begin to grow, you now are ooh, that word. I was about to put 3 words in one. You are now obligated to protect your heart. The minute that I feel those emotions begin to grow, it's as if I'm feeling those emotions, and so I'm walking towards this cliff. I said this in the Jessica Reedy podcast. I'm walking towards this cliff, right? I can feel myself getting ready to jump. I want to go head over heels with you. I want to jump all into the love that I have. I want to jump into this sea of love for you, and I want to go deep, and I want to have no boundaries, and I want to give it all, and I'm ready for that. I'm ready to go there with this person. Before you jump, have a conversation. Before you jump, hey, I feel myself becoming wrapped up in this relationship. I feel myself putting you in a certain place in my life. I feel myself becoming wrapped up in the ideas of what we could be. I am becoming very invested in our connection. I would like to know if you feel the same. I would like to know if you see the same future with me. I would like to know if you are just as invested as I am. I would like to know. We have to have the conversation. And mind you, the conversation is only warranted if their level of behavioral investment matches where you guys are. All right. If you don't see any behavioral investment that tells you that this person is even at the clip with you, then this conversation ain't even needed. You have to do your own self-correction at that point, right? But if this person is matching my energy and I see that we're moving in the same place, we're moving in the same direction, and I see that we're both building up into this place of what we would call love, before we hop over, before you throw yourself off the cliff, have the conversation. What is love? What is your expectation of love? If we do fall in love, does your expectations of me change? You have no idea how many people don't ask that question. Because for a lot of people, once I love you, my expectations of you change. Once I give you my heart, my expectations of you change. And no one ever has a conversation about what those expectations are. We just assume that they know. We just assume that they're going to get it right. We just assume you should know how to love someone. You should know how to treat someone. But do they? Right? And have you communicated your needs and your expectations when it comes to giving someone my heart? Right? So in order for me to not get attached, first of all, stop making attachments all about how you feel. I'm not picking people to be in my life based on how they make me feel. The feelings are the bonus. The feelings are the benefits, the consequences of the person treating me right. The feelings should be the consequences of the person treating me right. The better you treat me, the better I feel about us. That's how it should go. But many times we just give the emotion, we give the heart, we give the positive regard, we just give it away. Missing the fact that they didn't qualify for it. They didn't invest into it. Most times they didn't even ask for it. They really didn't even want it. We just gave it, right? So in order to not be attached, know your attachment style, do your own work on yourself to understand why I'm attaching to people. What are my internal buttons? Demystify this concept of falling in love. It is not an emotional thing. It is a very rational thing. It's a very logical thing. I do get to choose who I love. I do get to choose who loves me, right? You are in power. Love does not strip your personal power away. You are in power in that decision. And lastly, kill all fairy tales. Kill all fairy tales, okay? Now, I love a good love story. Rom-com, I love rom-coms, okay? But the reality of life is very different. And in order for you to stop attaching yourself to people, you have to see them for who they actually are, not who you wish they were. Who they actually are, not who you hope that they're going to be. Hey, Joe. You have to see people appropriately. You have to see them as how they're showing up in your life today, not who they promise to be or who you hope they'll be, or, you know, making excuses. When you find yourself making excuses for people, that's how you know you've created a story, and they keep defying your storyline. You created a story of who they were, and you're telling yourself, but they're loving and they're kind and they're gracious and they care about me, but their behavior keeps contradicting your story, and so you keep making excuses for them. And you keep saying, oh, but you know, he's under a lot of stress right now. Oh, well, you know, he's got a lot going on at work. Well, you know, his cousin on his mama daddy's side died, and he just can't deal with it, and I just got to support him through it. You make excuses for why he doesn't live up to your fairy tale instead of accepting him for who he is. That's how you know that I have created a fairy tale. I keep making these excuses for this person. Okay, I'm gonna let it go because I know I was on that one for a minute. I don't want to make nobody cry tonight. Okay. All right, so some things do take time, right? But are they going to take time at the expense of my well-being? Are they going to take time at the expense of my well-being? Because people, we all grow. I'm still growing, right? I'm still a work in progress, right? Thank you. But I said it this morning. There's a difference between someone making a mistake or getting something wrong or you know, working their way through the process, right? And then there's another thing for someone to have a pattern of neglect. There's another thing for someone to have a pattern of lack of concern for you or lack of regard for you, right? If you're constantly stabbing me in my back every time I turn around, and I've already told you that hurts me, that hurts my feelings, that makes me feel unseen. Listen, if I do anything, I over communicate. I will, hey, you know that hurt my feelings, right? Hey, you know that thing you did? I know, like, I'm not gonna make a big deal out of it, but I just want you to know that thing hurt me. And I do that purposely so that you will never be able to say, I didn't know I was hurting you. You will never be able to say, I didn't know that behavior was affecting you in this way. That the reason why I communicate that is because if you decide after I've already told you that thing hurts me and you continue to do it, oh, okay, well, thank you for letting me know where I am on your priority list. So a pattern of neglect or a pattern of lack of concern or a pattern, you're looking for behavioral patterns, lets you know someone's character. It lets you know someone's character and their regard for who you are in their life. Right? So I can work with you on the mistakes and learning and growing. But if there's a pattern, nah, that's who you are. Okay, let me scroll back up. I saw a question. Okay, how can you distinguish the reality of what real love should feel like versus the idea of what love is, from the perspective of never seeing it exemplified in childhood? All right, this is where I'm gonna stretch y'all. Most of us, right, have never really seen healthy examples of love in our childhood, right? That's actually the minority of people versus the majority of population who grew up in dysfunctional environments, okay? So the reality is that most of us have never seen a healthy example of what love looks like between man and wife, a romantic love. We'll just say romantic love, right? So one, we can't allow that to be the stopping point. We can't allow that to be, well, I've never seen it before. How am I supposed to make this happen? I've never seen it before. How do I do this, right? The relationship you have with yourself is always an extension of the relationship you have with other people. How do you model love towards yourself that is unconditional, that is compassionate, that is kind, that is loving, that is safe? How do I love myself in a way that I would be able to then take that same concept and exercise it on a person? one of the biggest things that I've seen, one of the reasons why we can't get to that happy, healthy love is because, one, we're going into relationships loving our partners more than we love ourselves. Loving them more than we love ourselves. And so we're asking them to fill in the gaps of where I have failed to love myself. We're asking them to be for me what I have not learned to be for myself. And so this person, we can no longer focus on the love part of the relationship or building the relationship, because I'm so focused on trying to get my internal needs met through this love connection. So this is no longer about us having a happy, healthy marriage. This is about you making me feel whole. This is about you making me feel good about who I am. This is about you making me feel attractive, making me feel worthy of love. We can't get to the actual building of the marriage because we're still trying to build ourselves through this person. And there's nothing outside of you that will ever fix internal issues. Period. Right? There's nothing outside of you that will make you feel loved or make you feel worthy of love. And so you go into the marriage always questioning, do they really love me? Do they really want me? I'm not enough. I'm not this. Well, if you fix that before the marriage, then we can actually fix the issues of the marriage and the issues of coming together, because even two healthy people coming together is work. Two healthy people coming together is work. So when you take two unhealthy people, and you try to put them together, things get chaotic very quickly, right? So when we talk about not having a model, right? Because I was there. I was like, well, God, I take all my issues to God. I said, God, well, how am I supposed to know? I've never seen a healthy marriage within my own family. I have, most of my friends are in healthy marriages, right? Those are probably the models that I have now later in life, but early in life, we didn't have none of that, right? So I was really praying and asking, like, how am I supposed to know? All right, now I'm gonna give y'all this and then I'm gonna go. But this will actually be what my second book is about. Because this was a journey that God really took me on in understanding what love was and what love wasn't. And every guy, it was a season in my life where I was just dating, okay? I was just out here, just dating. Like, it was like Goldilocks. I'm gonna go date him, don't like him. Go date this, I don't know, right? And just dating. But I was learning so much about myself in that season, and I was learning what I like and what I don't like, right? And after every guy, I would go on a date, like, oh God, I like him. Okay, I like him. Is he the one? No? Okay. What about this one, right? And this was preceding, I had prayed a prayer and I said, God, well, help me understand. How will I know? Like, how will I know that it's real? How will I know that this is real love? How will I know? Like, are you going to tell me? Like, what's going to happen? And what God did tell me, he said, Brittany, you will know that this is the love for you when the person feels like home. All right. He said, you will know that he's for you when he feels like home. Now, again, if y'all don't know my story, then I'll give y'all background. That completely confused me, because home for me has always been chaotic. I left home at 16. I ran away at 16, right? So the idea of home was never a safe place for me. The idea of being home, I never really felt like I had a home, because when I left at 16, I just went from house to house and I moved around, right? So home was never something that I thought of as being a place where love was, or being a place where kindness was, or being a place where I wanted to be, right? I always said, oh, I don't have a home. I could be wherever I want to be. So home was never somewhere that I thought I would be able to find a thing called love, right? And so as I'm going on this dating frenzy and I'm dating all these people and I'm having fun, because if you're not having fun dating, you ain't doing it right. You should be having fun, right? But after every person, I'm like, okay, God, I like him. He's nice, he's cute, he smiles, and he treats me right, and he's good. And God will say, well, what does it feel like for you? What does it feel like? And I'll be like, okay, well, and it was one guy in particular where I really liked him, but I was like, but he's not supportive. Like he doesn't listen to me. Like he only wants me to, he wants me to listen to his issues, but if I have something to say, like he's not present. Like he doesn't like actually like hear me. And God would never give me an answer. He's just like, well, does that feel like home? When you grow up in your relationship with God, and I know this is going spiritual, but when you grow up and you mature in your relationship with God, you reach a point where he stops telling you and he starts asking you, based on what you know about who I am, based on what you know about how I love you, based on what you know about how you have learned to love yourself, does that feel like home to you? Does that feel like kindness to you? Does that feel like acceptance? When you are meeting these people and you're interacting with them and you're sharing your energy with them, ask yourself, does this feel like acceptance to me? Does this feel safe to me? Does this feel like kindness to me? What does it feel like? What does the experience of them feel like? And when you have to grow up within yourself and say, I really like you, but I don't feel safe with you. I really like you, but I feel judged by you. I really like you, but I don't think you like me like that. When you can grow up in yourself, within yourself, and have those hard conversations with yourself and say, ooh, that doesn't feel like home. That doesn't feel like home to me. And it forced me to make an image of Brittainy. Well, what does home feel like for you? And this is where you guys are going to find your healing. Because mind you, keep in mind, I didn't really have a home. I hate to say it like that, but the truth is the idea of home, the definition of home was tainted for me at a very young age. So my healing was getting to a place where I was able to create a visual image of what kind of home I want to have, what kind of home I want my husband to come home to, what kind of home I want my kids to grow up in. Being able to create a visual image for something that I didn't have, right? And so now as I'm picking partners or choosing who I'm going to entertain, I'm choosing people who match the vision of home that brings safety, that brings softness, that brings acceptance, that brings laughter, that brings love. It does not look like bare minimum energy at all. It doesn't, right? So when we're talking about how do I create something that I've never seen before, the answer is you have to figure out who you are and decide, what do I want to create for my life? There is no blanketed answer for what love is. There is no blanketed answer for what a healthy relationship is. Who are you? And who is the person who fits your puzzle piece? Who is the person that fits into your idea of a home? Right? My idea of what home is may be very different from what yours is. We have to get out of this idea that there's some playbook about how do I find love? How do I make it work? How do I find the right relationship? The answer is always in who are you? Who are you? Everybody was on the weight kick when Devon Franklin and Megan Good was selling their books, right? And everybody was on the weight, and they're no longer married. So does it mean that the way that they found love doesn't work? Not necessarily. But doesn't mean that that's going to work for you. You have to personalize your journey, right? You're not picking a cookie cutter person to be in your life. I'm picking someone that can tolerate my scars. I'm picking someone that can tolerate my nuances. I'm picking someone who understands how my brain works, who understands my sense of humor, who understands why certain things may be difficult for me, who is accepting of everything that I am. And that is not something that you're just going to find on a random Tuesday. You're just not, right? But you have to get comfortable with challenging yourself, to ask yourself the hard questions as you're meeting these people. Stop focusing so much on, do they like me? I mean, listen, I'm working on myself, but my answer is, of course they like me. Stop focusing on, do they want me? Stop focusing on, am I enough? Stop focusing on, have I done enough? Do I look good enough? Do they match my vision for home? Does he make me laugh? Does he care about how my day went? Is he intuitive enough to pick up when I'm not smiling the way I normally do? Does he care that I'm not smiling? That's what we want to be looking for. And fellas, y'all too. Listen, when I worked with my guys for 4 years, I would be so angry because they would pick women to fall in love with that had no regard for their emotions. They would pick women to fall in love with who did not allow them to be themselves. They would pick women to fall in love with who did not hear the concerns of their heart, and it would anger me. It would make me so mad. But I couldn't be upset, because if you don't value your own heart enough to say that you must value it to be in my life, there's nothing I can do for you. You have to be willing to say, in order to have access to me, my heart has to be a priority to you. In order to have access to me, you have to be responsible with what it is I'm giving you. In order to have access to me, if you have decided that you can't be responsible with my heart, the most beautiful thing that I have to offer this world, don't trip. Don't trip. Access can be denied, right? We talked about that in the Daily Fix this morning. I am willing to surrender what does not honor me. I'm willing to surrender what does not protect me. I'm willing to surrender what doesn't build me, right? Okay, y'all. I took notes. Good. Listen, my OGs, I have seen people have sent me pictures of their notebooks that they join every Tuesday night, and they take notes every night. And people have sent me their notebooks. It is hilarious. I love it. So yes, you should be taking notes, because I just be going off, and you don't know what gems I'm gonna drop. I don't know what gems I'm gonna drop. But yes, very good, very good. You got what you needed. Good. All right. Again, my only announcement, join the Daily Fix. We do this every day. If you can't join live, you can always watch the replay for the conversation that we have. And you get access to all of my conversations since January. So if you're trying to learn your attachment style, the whole month of February, all we did was talk about relationships. So when you join the Daily Fix, you can literally go to our February sessions and watch everything that we talked about, attachment styles and relationships. And we have a 7-day free trial. So you might as well join, okay, and get what you need for the next 7 days, all right? Hey, Miss Erica. All right, newbie, if you're new, welcome to the tribe, all right? We're here every week, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Welcome, join us. If you are in Houston, August 27th, which is my birthday, I'm having a live Sunday session. That means we're doing this here, but we're doing it in person, which means it's a whole lot more intense. Somebody gonna cry. And if you're in Houston, I would love to meet you in person. So click the link in my bio and you can register to come and see me on that Sunday session, because I love meeting my IG family in person. But yes, that's what I have for you guys tonight. It has been a wonderful session. Thank you guys for all of the compliments, okay, on my hair, all right. I have been told I look like a young Toni Braxton. I appreciate it, you guys. I will see you guys next week. I almost forgot. Okay, if you're not on my email list, click the link in my bio and get on my email list, because next week I'm dropping something amazing next week, okay? And you want to be a part of it, all right? So make sure you're on my email list so that